James Kaufman, World News Report today. Police intercept more terrorists on the way to Bondi Beach after receiving a tip. It appears Australian intelligence foiled a copycat shooting. We do have videos. Yes, more Muslims, as you already guessed. The U.S., Australia, and all Western countries need to deport this entire bunch immediately, no matter what the left and Democrats have to say. Their religion is not a religion of peace and encourages them to lie, cheat, and even eliminate anyone who gets in their way of their end goal, a world that worships Islam. Again, we have two videos of the special forces detaining these men. Australia is on high alert following the targeted massacre at the Hanukkah celebration over the weekend. Following having intelligence suggest a violent attack was in the works, police report that a car filled with men was intercepted by armed tactical police in Sydney's southwest while traveling to Bondi Beach. By intelligence, they mean they were watching this group of extremists and actually may have foiled a shooting. The group, who may have been armed, were traveling to the area for what some have suggested was a copycat attack on Bondi Beach. There were shots fired, although I'm not sure if they were rubber bullets or real bullets. You will see them in the suspects' windshields. The 5 men faced drawn weapons as they were first rammed and then pulled from the car and handcuffed with zip ties. I'm not quite sure when the shots were fired. A few streets away, a second car was also intercepted and 2 additional men were arrested. The Sydney Morning Herald reports the motive of the men was also unclear. The group was flagged because they were known by authorities in Victoria, sources said. In other words, the first 2 shooters were somehow linked to this group who was headed to try to do the same thing. Again, we have 2 videos, so y'all want to check those out. The operation was in response to information received that a violent attack was in the works. It looks like a copycat shooting on Bondi Beach was foiled. Other footage from the scene shows mobile phones sitting atop evidence envelopes and the men lined up against a fence nearby before being moved across the road into the shade. The heightened concern follows a horrific, brutal, targeted massacre at a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi Beach. The attack, which authorities have now acknowledged was a deliberate anti-Semitic act of terrorism that eliminated at least 15 people and left dozens more wounded, including children and elderly victims. The Australian reported police received information of a violent act was possibly being planned before heavily armed officers detained a group of men from Melbourne who were reportedly on their way to Bondi Beach on Thursday. 7 men were intercepted by tactical operations officers who rammed the Hyundai I-30 and deployed multiple rounds of rubber bullets during one of the traffic stops occurring on a busy street in western Sydney. Check it out.
Heavily armed counter-terrorism police have sensationally arrested at least 5 men in Sydney's west in a dramatic traffic stop just days after the Bondi Beach terror attack. As you can see behind me, it appears at least 3 rubber bullets have been fired in the front and rear windscreens of this car. Video captured at the scene in Liverpool shows tactical police with rifles wearing green camouflage uniforms, helmets and vests in the process of handcuffing several of the men behind their backs. Now, police were seen here at the scene with multiple bags of evidence. They've taken that evidence away. Vision also shows 2 men on the ground handcuffed directly behind the stopped vehicle, while others have been detained on this footpath, but all the men have been taken away. Just a few minutes away at around the same time, another car, also with Victorian number plates, A Toyota Yaris was stopped by counter-terrorism police. It's now being guarded by general duties officers before it'll be taken away. For continuing live coverage and all the developments on this breaking news and on the Bondi Beach terror attacks, visit theaustralian.com.au.
Let's listen to the next one, folks. What a nightmare we've put ourselves in, allowing these people to immigrate into these Western countries. Olay London TV posted on X, Australian counterterrorism police ram car in Sydney and arrest 5 men from a vehicle over violent act being planned. 2 other men have also been detained by police as part of a counterterrorism operation days after the Bondi Beach terror attack.
A Hyundai hatchback on Campbell Street. Tactical response unit officers in camouflage gear and armed with high-powered weapons pulled 5 men out of the car and quickly had them on the ground with their hands tied behind their back. They were then arrested. Another person was also pulled from a car and restrained by police in a nearby laneway.
What I heard was 2 bangs, and then I heard lots of sirens, especially with what happened Sunday. I think most of Sydney is feeling that, even though we're in the west.
Police at this stage are saying very little, but it appears they were acting on some sort of intelligence that suggested this car had to be stopped.
There were 2 bullet holes in the back of the Hyundai here and 1 in the front windshield. Not quite sure how it all went down. They did ram the Hyundai from the front. Ran directly into the front of the vehicle. Crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We don't often hear of any type of law enforcement stopping a terrorist attack before it occurs. So this is something out of the ordinary, to say the least. If this would have happened in the U.S., it would be extraordinarily out of the ordinary. It seems like our FBI is busier covering up crimes than trying to stop them prior to them happening. God bless, folks. All we can say is, thankfully, no one was hurt. And hopefully, they have enough evidence to convict these people, although no crime seems to have been perpetrated. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible. Bizarro world.